share. Okay, well, it looks like it is time for us to get started with tonight's meeting. Thank you for those that are watching. We're going to go ahead and get plugged in. If you are watching on YouTube, our apologies. That was totally my fault. I thought I did it incorrectly. So hopefully you've had a chance to tune back in. If not, this will remain up for a little bit. So you'll have the chance to rewatch this, but we don't want to take up any more of your time. And so we're just going to go ahead and get started. So with that being said, Julie's going to jump right in and we'll go from there.
Thanks, Natalie. Hi, everyone, and welcome to our annual report and updates of 2021 for the Down Syndrome Society of Wichita. My name is Julie Etzler, and I am a board member of DSSW, and we are excited that you are here to learn more about what we've been up to, not only in the last year, but moving forward for the organization. Natalie's controlling the slides. I also want to note that this meeting is being recorded, so if for some reason you do have to step away, we will be recording it, so you can rewatch whatever you do happen to miss. We're live in our Facebook group, on YouTube, and on the website. So if you're on the Facebook group or YouTube, please feel free to use the chat boxes either on the side if you're on YouTube or within the video on Facebook. We will have a question and answer session at the end, and we would love to have your questions, but please feel free to ask as they come up, and then they'll all be answered at the end. Tonight's agenda, we're going to talk about our purpose, the year in review. We are going to go over the financial review and overview. It's pretty high level, so don't worry about that. Jennifer will break it down really great. We're going to talk about our walk updates for this year, along with what's ahead. And then, like I said, we're going to have a time for Q&A. So we're really excited that you're here. A lot of you are probably families or have been involved in the organization for a long time. And it is our purpose to serve you. And it's important for you to know the direction that we're moving in, but it's also important for us to get your feedback as we move forward as well. So we're excited for that. The purpose tonight, you'll see that we'll talk about what we've done in the last 12 months. There's been a lot that has happened in everyone's world, but especially ours. We're going to talk about our plans for the future, our financial state, and then, like I said, we'll have an opportunity for questions and answers. And I also wanted to note right here that the annual report will be online this Friday, so you will have something to refer back to. If you do want to rewatch this presentation, you can use that annual report on Friday to go back as a hand-in-hand to review that. So Darcy is going to kick off our year in review. This year was a little bit different for us because our board president that we started out with in June, Tamara Petrin, was a wonderful asset to the organization, but unfortunately for us, her husband took a wonderful opportunity in Kentucky and had to move halfway through the term. So Darcy stepped up to the call for help, which we really appreciate. She had served on the board in the past, and we really appreciate her leadership over the last 6 months. So a huge thank you to Darcy for finishing out the term with us, and then she's going to go into our year in review.
Thanks, Julie. It has been quite a year for the Down Syndrome Society, and it was mostly affected by every aspect was affected by the COVID crisis. And so the board and the committees that were put on the Buddy Walk or the Parade of Stars and the Jokers and Jazz, they all kind of learned the word pivot because we were going through a pandemic with lots of uncertainty, and they would try to figure out how to do it one way, and then all the information would be changing, and then they'd have to think about things in another way. So I think that they've done a wonderful job throughout the year in making all those changes and making things work for all of our different programs and stuff through the year. One of the things that we did have to do, because we weren't meeting in person and social distancing was the norm, was we turned our learning series into virtual meetings. And from that, we learned that our participation went up considerably. And so that was a benefit of the years. Now we are going to continue to do our virtual learning series online, because that seems to work better for our families. We also converted our programs for the adults, and teens and connection groups to online, where they were doing Zoom classes of Zumba and all these kind of things, so that they could keep their connections even though they weren't able to get personally together. During the year, we conducted a new parent survey so we could assess, what the current needs were of all of our parents, and we're using that information as we're going forward with our Dream Forward programming. Natalie was able to get the Catch Fire grant, which allowed us to take advantage of assistance in professional areas like finance and design and planning. So you'll be noticing changes in our website. It's being updated, and then there were changes they helped us create programming documentation for the programs that we are looking to start in the future for our adult services and respite care. Of course, a big factor with the COVID was the Parade of Stars and the Jokers and Jazz. We weren't going to be able to meet in person for Jokers and Jazz, so we had to figure out how were we going to do that. And it's such a big challenge, because we start planning for these events months in advance, and while you're planning, things change as far as recommendations. So it was quite a challenge for them. We were able to do the magic show on Zoom, and that was very fun with the Jokers and Jazz. And the Parade of Stars, we moved the event, and we had not as many people attending this year, but we were able to get some participation and have a fun day of recognition for our stars. And then, of course, I stepped in November and started taking on some leadership roles until we could get through the rest of this fiscal year. In August of 2020, the board looked at our mission statement and decided to update it a little bit. And so the new mission statement reads, the Down Syndrome Society of Wichita's mission is to provide programs and services that educate, connect, develop, and advocate to improve the lives of the Down syndrome community. And on the slide, you'll also see the inclusion, awareness, development, and advocacy. Those are our values, and those have not changed at all. The next slide kind of gives you a breakdown of some of the facts of the year. We had 22 new babies and families welcomed, and our new members are not just the babies. Sometimes we'll get new members who have just learned of older adults who have just learned about our organization, or sometimes we have people who are moving into our community from somewhere else, and they also are becoming served by us. We had 228 participants touched through the year through 23 programs held. And we serve nearly 370 families across the lower 1/3 in the western part of Kansas. In the next slide, you can kind of see how our families are broken out in the graph. You can see that 65% of our families are in the Wichita area, which would include like Andover and Goddard and the surrounding communities. And then Hutchinson has 8.4% of our family membership. Garden and Dodge City area has 4.3%. And then other areas, 9.2%, and 13% we don't have addresses on, we don't know where they're at. So we serve mostly in the surrounding area, but we also try to reach out and provide opportunities for those further away, like in Hutchinson and Garden and Dodge. We have broken down our connections groups into age groups. And so the STARS group is the 0 to preschool, and we have 65 participants in that age group. And then the elementary age school age children are in the creators group, and we have 73 participants in that program. Middle school and high school is the explorers program, and that has 71 participants. And then the stars are our adults 18 and up, and we have 58 participants in those that we know of. There's 103 people that we have in our membership that we don't have birthdays for, so we're not exactly sure which groups they fit into. I think most of those are probably, some people just choose not to share birth dates, and others are probably some of our older members who joined when we didn't keep records as well as we're doing right now. I think that kind of covers some of the highlights of the year. We've been busy planning for the future as well as trying to adapt to the changing times of COVID. And our next presentation will be from, is Jennifer here? Jennifer
Yep, I'm
Allen.
online.
Okay, Jennifer Allen, our treasurer. And we really appreciate, she's been busy with her tax practice through the year, which has had a lot of changes as well. And we are so thankful for all of the help and assistance that she has given us with our bookkeeping and taxes in our PPP loans that we had that we were able to obtain during this pandemic. So I will turn it over to Jennifer.
Perfect. Thanks, Darcy. As she said, I'm Jennifer Allen, and I've been the treasurer for the last couple of years. And so I just want to kind of go over a few of the details of, how do we get our income and how do we spend the income, and then a couple programs that we kind of have rolling out. So Natalie, can you move it? There we go. Our Down Syndrome Society, we are not federally funded. While we are recently trying to get into more grant writing and things like that, we don't have a United Way allocation of funds, and so this is something that we're really reliant on all of our members and all of our friends of the organization to help us raise every dollar that we have available to spend. Historically, when I came on with the board, we had a very good surplus of extra funds that we had in a savings account. Kind of our beginning founders had done an excellent job with raising the funds and creating and building a very strong backbone, knowing that at some point we would want to take on an executive director. And so we were fortunate enough to be able to add Natalie to the team and have a full-time executive director. And the plan was that, we knew that taking on an executive director is where we wanted to go with our programs, but that may require some years where we have some funding and we needed to use some of that surplus. And so we have that as kind of our backstop to help with fundraising events to, create the programs that we want, but we also need to continue to always be looking for ways to raise the funds so that we can serve the members the best way. And so we really would like to use in the future, we'd like to continue getting more of these grants and becoming less focused on, needing the buddy walk or needing Jokers and Jazz and the gala to help us make sure that we can even just cover all of our bills. And so as you'll see, we have been able to solidify some of the grants. We've got plenty of applications out. And so, if you are out in the community and you start to see, hey, there's, a nonprofit grant available, please shoot it over to any of the board members, because that is something that, as board members, we are actively always looking for more grants that we may qualify for. So that is definitely something that as a member, if you see something out there, making sure that we are all aware of that and can get our applications in, because The more grants that we can get means the more programs that we can offer. So we do, as an organization, participate in an external review. So it's not just, Natalie and myself as the treasurer looking at the finances. We do that every pretty much 1 to 2 years. We are coming up on that cycle. And so we will be having a outside organization come in and make sure that we're kind of taking care of everything and that we've got everything going forward. We've got everything lined up. So I've got here some pie charts, and it's maybe very small, so hopefully you can see this, but you can see, where do we get our income? You can see 52% of our income for both last year and the current fiscal year. Now we use a 5/31 year end because this starting in June is when we start to cycle up. And what we were doing when we were on a calendar year is, Buddy Walk is at the end of October. Well, we would get to the end of the year and go, well, I hope we spent, what we needed to. And so a few years ago, the board elected to change our year end to 5/31 so that we can be planning and adjusting our budget based on the dollars that are actually coming in. So as I said, you can see that a lot of our income comes from these fundraisers, whether it be the gala with Jokers and Jazz or Buddy Walk. This year we did receive a $26,000 grant. And so we did receive, that is the biggest chunk here in our current year that you can see, and that is something that we're working on the right trend of that. So definitely want to be moving that way. So here are the actual dollars. And so for last year, we had $136,000, and the breakout of it is $70,000 of that came from the Buddy Walk. $35,000 of that came from other fundraisers. And we happen to be the recipient of some very generous fundraisers throughout the organization, throughout the community, that we became one of the recipients of, and that helped us be a fundraiser. So we do have that classified as a fundraiser rather than a grant because we didn't have to apply for that application. In the current fiscal year, you'll see this $26,000 grant. Our Buddy Walk total receipts did drop from $70,000 to $59,500 in the current year. The gala, even though we had, kind of an adjusted gala, we do have some revenue that has gotten donated, either sponsored, had given to us, and they earmarked it for the gala. So we still did include that as gala income, even though we didn't have the normal event that we typically see. And then how do we spend our money? So our expenses are, we do have Buddy Walk expenses. Last year we spent about $23,000, and that includes, all of our t-shirts, any of the prizes, the food that we don't get donated, things like that. And so there's just a variety of different expenses. And the Buddy Walk team committee has done a fantastic job. I know that was something that the board really kind of challenged the committee with, was making sure that we were spending the money appropriately and for the best bang for our buck. And they've really done a fantastic job kind of making sure that we are spending it correctly and getting it in the right bucket. And so this year, with the scale down of the Buddy Walk events, those expenses were $10,000. So again, while they're a large number of expenses, we did bring in, and Buddy Walk is still one of our major money makers as a fundraiser. Payroll expenses, they do include salary, the payroll taxes, and then percentage of the insurance benefits. Our operating expenses, they include all of the expenses that are, the cost of our rent and our expenses for the office, but it also includes contract labor where we hire out if we, need a service that we can't get donated. Some of our grant writers, their expenses are in those operating expenses because they don't become employees of the Down Syndrome Society. We just hire out for those pieces. So ways to give, we are starting a new monthly giving program. And so you may have seen this with other organizations where, you can donate $10 a month, $100 a month, something like that. We can set it up so that it just is automatically coming out of the your bank account. You can just deem whatever amount it is, but it's just a set monthly amount that you kind of set aside. So, $10 a month, maybe don't go to Starbucks twice this month, and set up a monthly giving. We do also receive memorial givings. If you have anyone that has, they're writing and they're doing their estate planning, it's always nice to remember Down Syndrome Society and whatever we can receive as a donation there. And then the annual walk. One thing I kind of want to explain is, if everyone that registered and comes to our walk either committed to raising $100 or giving $100, we wouldn't have what we consider a deficit in our budget each year. So this last year, we had a $22,000 of expenses more than our income that we brought in. And so that's been contributing to the decline in some of our savings accounts. The year before that, it was about $35,000. So even though we're a nonprofit, we still need to make sure that we're having some positive cash flow. And so it's one thing that, if we could have a wish list. I know the board, we always think about, okay, what would a wish list be? Well, our wish list would be that every person that registers could either help find $100 for their donation, or if they could give it. And we understand, the $100 might not be in your budget, but can you, we've put out there a couple options with how to raise money at your office, get donations if your work matches anything, co-workers, anybody that can donate it, or, can you do a car wash fundraiser, something like that. So. And Denise is up next to talk about Parade of Stars.
Before Denise gets started, I do want to just remind everybody, I know that several of you had a little trouble getting into the link tonight. And so this is being recorded. If you miss it, we will repost again so that you can watch the front end. Also, if you have not had a chance to ask questions or you don't know where to ask questions, I want to make sure that you have that opportunity. So you can either, if you're watching in the parent group, go ahead and post them there. Or you can also email us at info@dsswichita.org. I've got that pulled up as well so that we can make sure by the end of tonight's presentation, we'll be able to make sure we get your questions answered. So thanks, Denise.
Okay, so I'm Denise Sawyer, and I'm a member of the board, and I'm also the parent of a young lady that is 24 years old and has Down syndrome. So I kind of have two roles on the board. And I'm going to talk about the Parade of Stars, or as so many of us have known for years and years, the Buddy Walk. So those are kind of interchangeable in our vocabulary. This year is going to be October 9th, so get your calendar out and mark the day so you don't plan anything else for that Saturday. It'll be from 11 to 2, and this year's theme is 3, 2, 1, blast off! So it's going to be awesome. One of the reasons that we want everyone to support the walk is that it provides support for our organization to continue its programs and all the work that we want to do. It also allows the public an opportunity to help celebrate and support our individuals who have Down syndrome. It's also our largest volunteer effort for the year. We use lots and lots of volunteers, and that also opens up their eyes to the fact that we do exist, and hopefully they can help spread the love, I guess you could say. Registration for this year's Parade of Stars is going to open on Monday, June 7th. So make sure and check it out. And this is going to be for our posters and for our t-shirt. It's a Parade of Stars, and you can see on the side it says 3, 2, 1, blast off. And the 3, 2, 1 also relates to that our kids with Down syndrome have 321 chromosomes. So it's kind of a double thing. We do have some changes that are going to go on this year. One of the reasons that we're looking at the changes is that we've looked at the market and other walks, and we're just kind of simply behind. We really, really, really need our Parade of Stars to be a huge fundraiser in order for us to continue to provide the programs and the experiences for our people with Down syndrome. So registration for this year, there's no change for 0 to 3, they're still free. We're still going to charge for individuals with Down syndrome, they're still free also. We're going to have a $25 flat registration for all participants. There will be a discount for families with more than 4 paid household registrations. And there'll be more information about that, exactly what that is, on the website on Monday. The walk route seemed to work best on Central for flow and awareness. We want people to know that we're out there. And by walking there, we kind of had a lot of people going by and going, hey, what's going on? Oh yeah, that's a cool Parade of Stars. The games area is probably going to look different. Part of that's due to COVID. Even though hopefully we're on the downhill slide and COVID's going to go away, we still want to be very careful. So we're going to try to eliminate a lot of the touch and unsanitary practices, but the games are still going to be provided, and they're going to, hopefully it's more of experiences that our kids can participate in those experiences. We will have, you know, instead of the bounce house where they're all jam-packed in there together and close together, we're going to do the obstacle course, and we're going to have a big slide this year. So they'll be kind of spaced out a little more. And we're going to add some other new games, of course. That's, you know, you always got to have new games because that's the way it is. We will have refreshments, but we're going to have more of fair foods versus a full lunch. So we won't be serving, you know, hamburgers and hot dogs, but we will have popcorn, cotton candy, snow cones, those type of things. So, and we want people to come and just kind of set up and meet with your families and your friends, and bring your little pop-up tents and set them up in the park, and just be together and celebrate each other. So here are some dates to remember. So get that calendar out. June 7th, registration opens. September 6th, this will be the last day to register before the price increases by $5. And it's also going to be the last day to submit pathway photos, sorry. So take those pictures of those kids, because everybody loves to see your kids along the pathway route. September 29th, online registration closes. And October 2nd, 3rd, and 4th is your t-shirt pickup dates, and we'll get more information out when it gets closer. And of course, obviously, October 9th is the big day. Woohoo! So get ready to have some fun.
Thank you, Denise.
Oh,
All right. Thank you, Denise, thank you for sharing the Parade of Stars updates. That's big news for us as we continue to move forward. So I appreciate you, and especially you and Brienne, sticking in there with us throughout all these years of making sure that our families have a way to celebrate big each and every year. So thanks for all the work that you do. I appreciate all of those of you who are watching this or watching it in past time. This is, of course, our annual meeting again, and I'm going to talk about what's ahead. But I've been here for 5 years as of April, and I've enjoyed my journey this far. But as I'm continuing to work and dream and explore things, we're changing. Our organization is changing, and I think it's a good thing. I'm pretty confident that we're changing in the right direction so that we can be here for many years to come. I do want to remind everybody again, if you have questions, I want to continue to say this in case you missed it. Feel free to ask those questions. I'm going to hang around the parent group after we get done just to make sure that I see any of your questions and can answer any of those questions. You can also email us at info@dsswichita.org to make sure that we get your questions answered for tonight. I don't want you to leave here with questions. So please ask questions, give us feedback if you need. I want to talk about the Dream Forward project. So Darcy, who you saw earlier today, is one of our founding moms, and she's been very gracious in serving with us in different capacities. The expansion project that Dream Forward refers to is talking about a project with our families in mind. So this is us providing access to more quality services and programs. We also recognize that our community places a high emphasis on connectivity and networking. Of all the things that we've asked on every survey, every single time you all have said, I want to get to know other parents and moms and families. I want to be connected. I want to stay connected. And so we want that to be something that we continue to go into no matter how we dream. That's a part of who we are. And so that's what this project speaks to, along with what are we becoming? So again, I've been here for 5 years, and I'm starting to see the trajectory of the organization kind of change as it ebbs and flows in a different direction. The project goal is to stabilize the organization through sustainable programs, quality employees, and heightened awareness. Now, I've been here for, again, 5 years, and in that time, we've had contractors, we've had some assistants who've helped us here and there, more seasonal, but we've not really had any stable part-time permanent positions that have been filled. We've also not had any permanent programs that we could have all the time without the threat of another program taking it. And so one of the first things that we noticed is that right now we're in 1,200 square feet of space. If you've ever been in there when there's over about 15 people in there, you recognize that it's not very big. So part of this project is getting another building. We want to increase our building space with at least 3,500 square feet to accommodate regular programming and services. Darcy and I have been on a journey over the last 2 years. We started out with research. We went across the country, even as far as Houston, Texas, to look at models across the country of how they're doing things, how they're serving their community better. And so we've got some ideas. We've looked into some things here in our local community and regionally to see what kind of things can we offer, but not just that, how are they being successful in their models? And that's what we brought back to the table, is that we need to adjust our model so that we can continue for years to come. The ideal building will include 2 conference programmatic areas that are multifunctional spaces, so that we can always have programs running concurrently. We don't have to have one or the other, specifically in the summertime when we have Summer of Discovery and all of our adult programs are still running. We also want to include a parent lounge with resources, DVDs, and books. We want to have a technology lab, an office space, of course, so that I can work, and then a small playroom for young children and an adequate storage space. This is an ideal building. And so what we've recognized is in the buildings that we've looked at, we know that there may be some things that we have to give or take. The 2 conference rooms are something that we're not bargaining on because we actually need it. The parent lounge with resources is something that we will continue to have. The technology lab is something that we have to have because we need it. Several things on here. The small playroom for young children is a desire, but we may not get it depending on what the budget looks like once we find the right building. We also want to include enhanced services. And so this is funding for startup and expansion of services, including the Explore ICT Independent Skills Adult Program. There's money in this project that will cover the expense to get us started and help us to go along. Again, speaking back to what Jennifer was talking about with the budget, is that we have to create sustainable programs so that our programs are something that we can maintain. So each year we can't come back to the table and say, okay, we have $0 or we have this many dollars, we need to build on this. This program will start to pay for itself. So those are some of the things that are included. There's also transportation. One of the things that we recognize as well is that you parents are busy, you have things to do, and a lot of the adults also have things to do that they want to do. And so adding transportation in is an important component for our programs, for both our Summer of Discovery program and our adult programs. So we're going to start out with 2 passenger vans for program participants, adding 3 employees. That's funding for 2 years for 2 part-time employees. One of those employees will include a grant writing development person that will continually write grants for us. That's something that's been missing, and we need it desperately. And I'll talk more about that in a moment. And then also project administration. As you know, it takes time, effort, money, materials, and supplies to pull things off like this with an expansion project. And so that is also included in the whole project dollar. Right now, where are we? We've actually been in a phase of this project already. We have hired a development consultant who is just a contractor that's been working with us on this project. She is actually out of Florida, and she's been doing an amazing job. She's secured several grants for us already. We actually had 2 before, and right now we're working with just 1 on just a specific project, and then the other consultant will be helping us with some other things as we continue rewrites of things. Right now, we do have a building that we're really interested in. We've had to kind of look at all different kinds, all different budgets to kind of get to a place that we found something that we believe will fit into what we can afford for today. Of course, our goal is that we want to always continue to move forward. We always want to continue to press the marker and keep moving forward. But right now, we got to focus on here's what our budget is. Here's what finances we have, and here's what we believe we can support. She secured a $20,000 Sunderland Foundation grant, which is going to help us to get into our new building. We also found out that we got the $5,000 from Fidelity Bank, which is going to support our technology lab. And then we also got $2,500 from the Circus Project, which provided the laptops for that space, which includes laptops for our adult programs, our summer programs, and also our technology lab. So we're really, really close to almost having our technology lab fully funded. And then we have about 10 to 15 grants that are out there that we're waiting for a response from. Some updates that I think you should know about is, of course, the website. It was time for a refresh. It's really nice and kind of dry. And so we wanted to brighten it up, give it some color. And so that's what we've done. You heard about Catch a Fire a little bit ago. That has afforded us the opportunity to work with a development person for free when it comes to the website. And so we're updating the calendar view. We've extended the resource area, and it's also going to now be translatable for Spanish-speaking families, which is a large part of our group. We've updated the programming layout. So now we have 3 areas that we focus on. I don't know if some of you have heard this story, and I'm sure you have. When I first started into that first year, it was really, really hard for me to explain what we actually did when it came to programs and services. That was big because when I'm going out and representing, I know how to say the mission. I know how to tell them who we are and how we started, but people really wanted to know, what do you do? And as we've been on this journey over the last few years, we're getting really clear about what we do and what we don't do. And so that's really exciting news. And we've now compartmentalized 3 of those things. So we offer 3 programs. Everything that we do will fit into one of 3 programs. The first program is Adult Skills and Lifestyle. That is a group that has made a unique showing. When we have programs for our adults, they show up consistently. And that is the group that sometimes is excluded out of the things that we've noticed in the area of what's available to them. So Explore ICT, which is Adult Development and Life Skill program, that's going to be housed under that program. Our second program is Development and Wellness. That can include anything from our exercise classes. That includes our artist workshop with creativity and expression. That also includes our Summer of Discovery program. So anything that fits in development and wellness will be part of that program. And then our third program is Engagement, Education, and Advocacy. That will be our parent and caregiver learning series. That will be any of the advocacy efforts that happen. That'll be engagement. So that's us with going out into different places and just spreading news about who we are, maybe participating in different events, that kind of thing. But all of these 3 things encompass everything that we do here at our organization. This will help us as we move forward. Again, with grant writing, as we're becoming a little bit more savvy, we're learning how to write grants correctly. We're learning how to compartmentalize things, and so that we can get them covered and ultimately get them funded. Some of the areas that will also, you'll see more about this reference is we have 2 cultural groups, the Lazos de Amor. That's exciting because our Spanish speaking group, when I first started, felt very alienated. And that was something that I had some one-on-one conversations to see how we could fix it. And I'm really glad that I think the last event that we went to, there was probably almost 50 people in attendance at that event. And so that is a really cool group to be a part of. And it's also helping bridge that gap where there's a language barrier there. Something else that we are starting is a melanin mixer, which is for our African-American families to reconnect. I don't know if you've noticed, if you've been in any of the things, but there's not a lot of African-American family presence, but we do have them in our community with children with Down syndrome. And so my effort there is to try to reconnect them culturally so that they can reconnect to the larger group. Both of these groups are subgroups within our connections groups that already exist. So this is not an effort to start a new group. These are to engage and re-engage people to say, hey, we've got stuff for you here. So why don't you come over and join us and be a part of what we have to offer. So we got Lazos de Amor, which the mom's named, and then we have the Melanin Mixer. You'll see some events start up this summer, and then we also have our regional connections. Now, you saw the numbers that Darcy gave you, and if not, you can rewind back and look at them later. We have 65% of our area that we know of for sure is in the Wichita and surrounding community. We still just have 1 employee. That won't be the case all the time, but right now that's the case. And so we still want to provide support to our Garden City and Dodge City areas and our Hutchinson families, but our focus for them will be specifically on engagement, education, and advocacy. Our learning series are transferring to virtual. We're going to stay virtual for those. You all have really shown that being at home and getting that information the way that suits you best is at home, where you can have the kids running around and screaming. You can put your Zoom on mute and continue on. So we're going to continue on that path. Hopefully we can continue to reconnect with them in their community so they know that this is available to them. And then connectivity activities go in engagement. And so that's part of that, is a lot of just the social networking, building community activities. Right now, we don't have the capacity to serve beyond that. Eventually, hopefully we will. Right now, today, we're trying to manage Wichita and do a good job at that. And so the focus for them will be specifically on engagement, education, and advocacy. One of the other things that we recognize as we start to, again, go down this path and figure out what our journey is for a while is our office cost. And there's some things as we're starting to move into this Dream Forward project. This is one of the things we wanted to share with you all tonight, is that right now, at the end of this month, our office will be closing. That does not mean our organization will be closing. I will still be here. The number won't change. The email won't change. The address will be updated, and you'll get that via website. And also we'll email that out once we know where you can send things if you need to. For us, we looked at that overall cost, and that was at least a $2,000 savings every single month. It does not make sense for us to have an office that we can't really have programs in right now. So this is a temporary closure. It's not going to be forever. We are definitely going to continue to look for our new home. But again, our goal is that we want to purchase a building so that we can eliminate the cost of that monthly rent payment, and we can put that back towards the programs and the services. So again, we will share this information out to you once we have secured that information. And again, it's June 1st today. And so today and throughout the rest of this month, we started packing, we started putting things up that need to be put up. And so we're going to be finding some locations. We've already been researching that as well, but finding some locations that work really well for our families. As far as programming goes, I know that this is a question. As far as programming goes, we are transitioning back to in-person programming. We will not have Summer of Discovery this summer because of the planning that it takes for that. We did not know where this pandemic would be at. And so hopefully we stay out of the woods. But in the meantime, we're just going to get ourselves prepared to transition back. What that looks like is this month we have a learning series, which is virtual. We had a wonderful mom's night out last month. We're going to have a dad's group this month. We have a movie night event that'll happen. We have the Lazos de Amor Spanish connection that'll happen. And then we have a new parent outreach that's going to also happen in June. In July, we have an artist workshop starting up. We have the Melanin Mixer. We also have a dance in the park on a Friday evening from 6 to 8 on the 16th. And so we'll be sharing this information out so that you know what's coming, you know what events are happening, you know how we're transitioning, you know about the project. And then in August, we have our fitness session and another mom's night out and some other connection groups. One of the things before I pass it over to Beth for questions that I would like to challenge everybody, again, whether you're watching it now or later, I challenge you to find out how you can support the organization, not just financially, but in time. Our annual walk typically has been well over 1,000 people. In regular years, well over 2,000 people that we have every single year. In the last 4 years, that number of committee members has went down. It's not even 5. What our expectation is of the organization versus what it takes to get things done is not a realistic model. We appreciate everything that everybody has done so far. We appreciate all that you all do. I have to stop and give a shout out to Sarah Rivers. She keeps that new parent outreach group going like no other. Sometimes when I'm just bogged down, I know that those new families are going to be reached, they're going to be connected, and they are going to have a wonderful welcome from our group. And I definitely just appreciate all that she does to make sure that they stay connected. However, all of these other things that we want to do is going to take the hands and the feet of our parents and our families. I always tell people, you all are the passion behind the organization. Our board is mixed with some corporate people, some families, some moms and some dads, but it really takes you all to get into this and really, really push the message forward so that it can happen, because you all have the passion behind what we do every day. So I challenge you over the next year. We have some exciting things happening. Of course, a move is always exciting. New programs are exciting, but it cannot happen without your support. The first thing, of course, is to form a walk team. One of our moms told me when she was thinking about that, and she was volunteering for packet pickup, and somebody brought back a pledge form, and she saw that they were bringing back a pledge form, and it had like $2, $3, $4, $3. And she looked at me and she said, I didn't understand that. I thought that people pledging had to pledge like $100 a piece or these big nominal amounts, and they don't have to. By the time her sheet got done, she probably had over $100 and just little $2 and $3 here. So I encourage you to do what you can do. But try to support the organization in the way that you can, because again, we are nonprofit, so there is no magic wand that we wave and things happen. We definitely need your support, and we definitely need your hands on the ground to make things happen. With that, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Miss Beth.
Hello, everyone. I'm Beth Hollenbeck, and I'm the board secretary. I've been in that position for a couple years. And my oldest is 15, who has Down syndrome and will be starting high school next year. So there's a couple ways to ask questions, and then I am planning on reading them aloud so everybody that's attending tonight can hear those and hear the answers. You can type those into the Facebook feed that's on the parents and caregivers page right now underneath where the annual meeting is happening, or to the side on the YouTube page if that's where you're watching everything, and then I can just go from there as you guys submit. Ask away.
Ask away. I do see one that I believe that we answered already that said, what programs, if any, this summer? And I went over those. If Paula, if you have any additional questions on that, feel free to reach out or keep typing.
Where are you seeing that?
It's on the YouTube live chat.
Not on mine. Okay.
Oh, you see top chat. You should see it on live chat. There's just a couple comments there.
Oh, gracious. Okay, well, let's see. All I see is where they're having trouble getting it to pop up. Am I looking in the right place? Where it says top chat, it starts with Charlotte Smith. That's all I have. Let me try again.
I think I missed Charlotte's comment altogether.
Yeah. Well, hold on. Yeah. If you're seeing something different on the YouTube, if you want to read those, I don't want to miss something.
Okay, that was it. Somebody just loved the Parade of Stars graphic. And then there was a question about programs, if any, this summer. And then there was also a question about would it be possible for a strictly DS adult night out? Sure. That can be one of our outings for our connection group for the stars. I'm assuming you're talking about the individuals with Down syndrome. Absolutely.
I think someone's typing on Facebook. Hang on.
Oh, okay. So let me apologize because I think the old YouTube link, I thought we were doing it wrong and we started a new one. I think that threw things off. So if you are not seeing the comments, I promise I'm going to go. I tell you what, after we get off here, we're going to actually just switch over after this is done because we're pretty much done. We're going to get back in on the Facebook parent group and just give you a chance to ask questions. I believe everybody there knows how to ask questions on Facebook. So if you have not gotten into the YouTube or you do not know what's happening right now, we're just going to close this out in a second and switch over. Okay. So thank you all for being here. Let's see. Matthew misses the adult Zooms. I miss Matthew. So I'm really looking forward back to just seeing everybody's face and in person, just to see people. I miss everybody with chaperones. Got you. Thank you, Paula. Michael had a question. Did you see that, Beth?
Yep, I have it. I'll read that. It's on Facebook. Thanks to all of you presented tonight and to all the board. Also good for you on closing the office. Will you rent again or will the next address be our own property?
Our goal is for it to be our own property. That's our goal. We are entertaining some lease to own options. I'm not sure if you're familiar with what's happening with the real estate market right now, but it's crazy. But one of the things that we also noticed, and Darcy, feel free to chime in if I don't answer it completely, is that the space that we get for the rent that we would pay is a fraction of what we actually need. And so we would still kind of be in the same boat of paying this much for this much space. And every time that goes up, we just don't feel like we can track with it. And also leaving out of it without having anything. We walk away from this building that we'll leave at the end of the month with what we walked in with. So you don't really have anything to borrow against, no equity, there's nothing there as an organization. So after kind of researching what's best, we just feel like owning the building is gonna be the best for us.
I'll even add to that in the fact that, the board has really expanded even some of our options of, renting a space that maybe is larger than what we potentially need and taking on a tenant, to help cover some of those initial costs because we understand that, maybe there's a location that we could grow into. Ideal space right now is like 3,500 square feet. Well, there may be one that is available for 5,000. And so, we're really looking at all of our options. One, to help cover some of those initial costs if we have a tenant, but also just making sure that we're not, putting ourselves on a really short list of properties available. So.
I don't see any more yet on Facebook, but if anybody's got anything they want to ask.
Thank you for that. I saw a request for a guardianship workshop. Carrie, that is on the list for the next fiscal year to get in a guardian workshop. That's important. So thank you for bringing that to light. It is tough without guidance, and all the kids will hit that area one day or another. So thank you for that. Well, I tell you what, it's about 8:30. And so what we're going to do, we're going to stay on Zoom for just a little bit. And then what we'll do is end this and we're going to jump into the Facebook parent. So we're going to stream this to the Facebook parent group just for kind of an ask and answer. We'll just hang out for maybe 10, 15 minutes and then we'll call it good. So thank you all for hanging out with us tonight. We're going to stop the stream. And then if you can, head on over to the Facebook group. I'm just afraid that we're missing questions. So we will just transition. Thank you all.